Hello. A couple of weeks ago, I came on live on this page, the Present Day Wellness page, and I started talking more about pregnancy loss. And I've talked about primarily how, on one hand, we can look towards things that may have been contributing factors, but on the other hand, we can't really pinpoint and nail down just one exact reason why a pregnancy loss might have occurred. And we mostly were looking at some meta-analysis dealing with the women's side of the equation and specifically related to stress. And we talked about some of the obvious stresses as well as the hidden stresses that I introduced you to in that video. So if you happened not to catch it, it's from 2 weeks ago and it's still on my page as a pinned post. But if you're watching right now, I thought I'd come on this week because I'd like to talk directly about the other half of the equation, the male side. And as you likely have guessed, there's not a lot of research out there. There is some, but there's not the plethora of research that has been done on the female side of the equation in recurrent pregnancy loss. So today, again, I'd like to just introduce one of the papers that recently came out in January, and it was really quite fascinating. So let me tell you what it's about today. But if you don't know, I'm Rachel Romaine, and I'm Rachel Romaine, the founder of Present Day Wellness, where we provide support and information. We're a wellness education. We're also a coaching style and we also do a little bit of inquiry and help you understand how to find the information about your pregnancy loss, about potential prior pregnancy loss, and also how to reduce the risk of a future pregnancy loss. So we're providing preconception care for couples that have had that happen. And so again, today, back to this study. It was primarily about finding what is happening in the sperm and the seminal fluid of males with what they call RPL, recurrent pregnancy loss, in comparison to males that have not had that happen. And they reduced a lot of factors that are commonly known, just many things, no variceals, no prior infertility, all these things that they reduced their sample size down to really have a control group and a testing group. And in the testing group with recurrent pregnancy loss, the one thing that they found that was different than the control group was that there was a 4-fold increase in reactive oxygen species in the seminal fluid. And ROS is the acronym for reactive oxygen species, and you and I might know it as free radicals, okay, things like that. So with that information, they proposed a lot of curious questions, and they were really great questions. And so I'll link that study directly in the comments below this video today. But what was most curious about it was that they were wondering when there is a balance between reactive oxygen species and antioxidants in the seminal fluid, but why was it so high, and what are the contributing factors that increased it, and what kind of therapeutic applications could they use to decrease it? And I was so happy to read that they were really curious about that, because it really is the approach that I'd like to take, and I hope other people would like to take, is like we question why it's happening and also what we might do about it. And so if we just think of reactive oxygen species in our bodies overall, why would we have too much of that? Then we can kind of point towards inflammation, we can go towards stress, so we can go to a lot of modulating factors that we have in our environment that we can actually influence. And then another way that we could do it is through influencing our internal environment. We can actually add more antioxidants to our diet through herbs, through good foods. So we have ways to influence, and we also have ways to look upstream and find out what actually is happening and why there may be ROS more in that seminal fluid than in other men. So one of the things could be an infection that is actually kind of subclinical, or it's actually putting out, it's been so fascinating to me to study how some infections can trick the immune system, for a lack of a better word, and to not be detected. So you might look and say, well, the leukocytes, that's part of the immune system, are not high, but how could there be this infection? And sometimes it happens that way. So it was just a fascinating study, and like I said, I'll link it below, but to provide you with a little incentive to know that they are looking at both sides of the equation, because as you may know, the female side of the equation leads towards greater embryo health, and then the male side of the equation leads towards greater placental health. So if you have those two sides of the equation at their optimum place and support, then we can really encourage the pregnancy to carry forward. Okay, so let me take a check and see if there was something else that I wanted to say today. Oh, and then as always, the solutions can be simple and they can be complex. So please don't hesitate to reach out and let me know if you have any questions about the study or about anything on my Present Day Wellness page that you are curious about, maybe I'm not clear in. I really would love to know. And as always, I'm still uploading these videos onto YouTube, so you can find them there if they tend to go missing in your Facebook feed. Okay, take care everyone, and I'll see you in another couple weeks. Bye-bye. It's Rachel Romaine signing off.